Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris,
Lee.
Anyone got any news?
It's a slow week, isn't it?
It is so slow, it could have Marcus Ericsson driving it.
It's almost like the season's over and nothing much is happening.
and everyone's winding down for Christmas and the factories are shutting down.
And no one's signing contracts when we expect them to sign contracts.
Well,
I think now is when we should have a moment in prayer for last year's Lord and Saviour Nico Rosberg.
Oh, what winter fuel you did provide us with, Nico.
Don't worry, we have a Nico Rosberg tribute later on.
Yes, we do. More and more info on Nico Rosberg later on. But all eyes are still on Williams, and they're still unconfirmed at the moment. Second driver.
There's a whole load of news from possibly multiple sources come out today, isn't there?
Reputable sources as well. They're usually reputable sources. Not confirmed, but sources that usually don't make things up.
Of course, we're only hearing this like fifth hand.
Yeah, of course.
No, I think it was fourth if you count Twitter as one of the hands.
Twitter's many hands, surely.
But it came from one person's Twitter account,
Right.
who is reputable.
Who?
Will Buxton.
Yeah.
Yes, the Will Buxton.
Friend of the podcast.
friend of the show.
Yeah. Friend of the show.
So
I just stuttered a little bit,
does
so
that
it
make
made
him-
it sound like he was friend of the
He's our
show.
boyfriend by proxy.
Does that
Yeah.
make him like friend-in-law?
Yeah, friend-in-law.
Step-friend?
So, yeah, the news that's come out today, Sergei Sorokin is apparently now favourite for the Williams seat, which would, of course, put Kubica well out of contention.
Yeah.
Apparently he is well out of contention now.
Well, Sergei Sorokin does bring approximately 15 million euros worth of sponsorship with him
From Russia.
a Russian bank, SMP Bank, or in Russian
CM strange.
CM strange wiggly C, looks like a rocket backwards and a upside down 3.
Do you know what? For a split second then, I was surprised he was Russian, and then I thought of his name.
Sergei Sorokin. He's more Russian than Daniel Kvyat.
Where did you think he was from?
Every time he walks down the road, I imagine some sort of march behind him now as well.
So they went out of the sport years ago.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
they were called Leighton House last time they were involved.
That was a good colour scheme.
It was.
I enjoyed the Leighton House cars.
And if I hadn't been getting a coach back from London, I would have owned a Leighton House front wing.
And you didn't.
Sounds
was
like
nowhere
a
to
Division
put
3
it.
football team.
Leighton House does well. Yeah. Leighton House 1. Leighton Orient 2. Yes, very good.
So yes, Sergei Sorokin has appeared to be the front runner for the Williams seat. Now his testing times were
Favourable, I think
yeah.
is what the article says.
Yes, it would appear that Kubica's time in the end was round about what Lance Stroll's were, and obviously Williams wants somebody faster in the other car, and this appears to be Sorokin.
But they believe so much in Lance Stroll. Why could they not believe in Kubica?
I can probably give you something around about 80 million reasons why they believe in Lance Stroll, or is
Fair
it 40?
enough.
And it's 40 million reasons next year.
Is that 40 million of the same reasons?
It might be, yes.
This reason looks very similar to the last 40 million.
They
I'll
believe-
accept it.
They believe he'll figure it out or eventually.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I mean, not to believe in Lance Stroll, you've got to be a loony, or at least 80 million of them. That's one for our Canadian listeners.
So yeah, Sergei
Do I have to
Sorokin.
explain that one to you?
No, I don't think so.
The Canadian dollar's called a loony.
I know.
All right.
Sergei Sorokin is now thought to be, as I say, this is all unconfirmed, the favourite for the seat, with Danny Kvyat as favourite to be the backup choice, which makes me wonder whether or not they're considering. Well, no, yeah, it makes me think whether or not he's in the running. Apparently, he's not in the frame at the moment, but I was thinking more for the test and reserve driver that Williams usually install. They usually install someone who's got quite a bit of experience in Formula One. I can't remember who they had before. Well, they had Adrian Sutil, didn't they, for a while before Paul di Resta?
Yes.
Was Alex Lindlish?
No, I
for a
think
while,
he
wasn't
was
he?
their development driver,
Right.
Yeah.
which is someone who very rarely gets to actually drive.
I like the idea of the development drive. It's like, what do we need to develop? You need to develop yourself some sponsorship, then
Yeah.
we'll talk.
Develop your driving and then we'll talk. But yeah,
it was just a shame that the only sponsorship he'd got was that Williams logo on his helmet.
Not ideal.
No.
So I'm wondering if Danny Kvyat is perhaps being brought along with Sergei Sorokin and Sorokin's millions as a test and reserve driver, just in case Williams need to use. They had to use the rest of it this year, didn't they? So, I wonder if Kvyat's in line for a third seat, basically, at Williams, rather than an actual race seat.
I mean, would his sponsorship come with him as a reserve driver?
No, but if there's lots of Russian money being pumped into the team, and then the team turns around and goes, well, we can have a Russian as a backup as well. They go, oh, yes, that 15 million we told you we didn't have.
Maybe. Yeah,
Because, Kvyat doesn't appear to have a great deal of sponsorship himself because
Red Bull.
everything that he's done all his career has been Red Bull.
I just think he's too damaged.
Yeah, Williams aren't in the. We've spoke about
We've
this
said
before,
this
haven't we?
before, yeah.
They're not in the job of rebuilding broken drivers.
They never used to be.
They're in a very different position now, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think it's strange. I mean, Sorokin, if he tested well against the one-armed bandit and Stroll, just because he's quicker than a man with a physical impairment and Robert Kubica, it's it doesn't mean it's not like a massive seal of quality, is it?
No.
He didn't set the world alight, did he, in GP2?
Yeah, but they're not exactly drowning in other options.
No, I realised this, but I'm
and he
not-
did some decent races in GP2.
Well, he's been third for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and if you look at Williams's, sort of the restructuring they've done over the last year and a half, 2 years. Paddy Lowe's now basically the chief of that team.
Yeah.
With Paddy Lowe being, they're going to go with that whole data-driven McLaren-style approach that Williams used to go with when Paddy Lowe was there the first time.
And so they're going to have 2 drivers which don't know what they're talking about.
Possibly. So data-driven approach, they're going to have to pick the fastest driver in the car. And at the moment, that does look like it's going to be Sergei Sorokin.
Well, no, because it's going to be who presents the best whole package to Williams.
That's the thing.
So that's going to take into account, are they old enough to keep Martini happy?
Yeah.
Which apparently isn't an issue.
Well, it's still an
I've got
issue. It's just not
An
make or
issue.
break.
Yeah.
Who was the
I've
other
got
guy
an issue
that
with this as
people
well.
said? There was another guy that his people have said that they were in talk with Williams and then Williams denied it.
Ollie Rowland.
Ollie Rowland,
Yeah.
who is 25.
Mm.
He's
Who's he? Why do I know his name?
He's
Renault test driver.
runner-up in GP2, F2 this last season.
Right, okay.
And yeah,
He's done some Formula E as well. He was Virgin, I think, wasn't he?
Not sure,
Is he
to be
British?
honest with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have one other point to make with in putting Sergei Sorokin in the car. Where's the experience come from in that Williams team if they do that?
Yeah.
20 races for Lance Stroll.
No, he's not strong enough to lead a team. He's not strong enough to lead a team, and Sorokin can't come straight into Formula One with Lance Stroll being there a year already and be like,
Yeah.
I'm leading this team now
No.
because of my millions is perhaps a little bit more powerful than
Sorry,
your
Rowland was
millions.
third in F2 this year. Not second, that was Artem Markelov.
No.
They either have a plan that takes account of that, and maybe Paddy Lowe said, right, we're in quite a bad place at the moment. Let's take a few years to build the drivers up and become a really strong team again.
Yeah. A long-term project.
A long-term project. Or they've got a different plan. Maybe the third driver will be someone with a lot of experience, Kvyat, or someone more experienced than him, maybe.
I would, yeah. If I were in the Williams boardroom, and bearing in mind, we don't have the information that Williams have. Williams have all that information there. So I was saying about Paddy Lowe and the data-driven approach that Williams are probably going to be more looking at now. There will be, I would almost put money on it. The reason we haven't heard publicly from Williams what their choice of driver is, because they haven't decided, and there are actual arguments going on in the board want somebody.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The board wants somebody experienced.
Yeah.
We cannot put Sorokin and Stroll in the team in Formula One. We need a strong team. We need to be pushing for that 4th place.
Yeah.
Are we
we
going
don't-
to end up with a car next year for Williams where Paddy Lowe's first proper Williams since he's been back with the team? Are we going to end up in a situation where we spend all year going, I wonder how quick that car is?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
You might not know.
Well, I think so, because the choice of drivers that they've got, the only one that's been talked about, apart from Lance Stroll, who has recent Grand Prix experience, is Danny Kvyat, who is...
His own worst enemy.
Yeah, he's a good talent on his day, and he's not on his off days.
No.
Yeah. So for me, I would be arguing De Resta's corner. Not just because I like him as a race driver, and as he comes across really well on TV as well. But you
Right wide on for De Resta, haven't you?
oh, full on. But you can't.
Hush now, button boy.
Never hit it.
It will be, do you know what? I'm going to do a full 180 here and say it would be better if they got Massa back in the car than put Sorokin in that car.
I still think that's a chance. Because I still think Massa is, of the available drivers, he's the best choice. And I think if they turn around to him and I've offered them the same deal they gave him last year, I think he'd jump all upon that.
You think he'd be all over $5 million a year?
Yeah.
Do you want to pick your microphone up a bit? It's
It's gone floppy.
You've gone droopy.
Lee's got a droopy mic. Sorry,
Sorry
listeners,
about that, people.
if you've lost Lee a little bit there.
It's never happened to me before.
I've got the feeling that Massa has actually retired from Formula One now.
He
Yeah,
didn't want to, though, did he?
No,
And
I've got the
that's a big
feeling that
thing.
he's actually retired. But is it the right thing for Williams to do? I mean, I said last season when they brought Massa back, that's the worst decision that they could have made. Bringing Massa back is not going to work for them. And it did. It did work for them. Massa and Williams proved me wrong. I'm willing to be proved wrong again. But I genuinely don't think Sorokin and Stroll in that team together is the right pairing for...
Felipe Massa has just been named president of the International Karting Commission on the FIA.
Okay.
He is now in charge of go-karts.
We should go go-karting in honour of Felipe Massa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they want a 1-year driver.
In which case, get Paul Di Resta in.
Paul Di Resta,
Pascal
one
Wehrlein.
more year of Massa. Sorokin's going to do okay as a 1-year driver.
Well,
Yeah, but-
when they get Bottas back in 2019, after
Well,
Mercedes dump him.
There's a wide choice of drivers in 2019. They could spend some of these millions that they've got coming in on trying to get a Ricciardo or Sainz or
Or a Verstappen.
trying to
Who-
get a potential world champion. Not
All it needs is for a few new heads to start making their way into the sport, and a couple of the old, wiser heads wanting to stay in the sport.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, a Williams drive. I mean, let's face it, Williams haven't been up there, but they're still one of the best drives to get. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know if he wasn't already under contract? Do you know who I would be plumping for if I was Paddy Lowe?
Jenson Button.
No,
Sergio Perez.
no.
Oh, that might be guesses.
Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah,
But he's already under contract for Ferrari for next year. But if he wasn't, I'd be like, well,
I think
I'd go with Kimi.
come 2019, if they
I can just see it now when he's doing the sponsorship for Martini. I don't drink it. Too weak.
but if he's,
it's okay with more vodka.
I think Daniel Ricciardo's Ferrari bound come 2019, and if they get rid of him, he would be a very good call.
Yeah. I don't want to see Williams do the 1-year thing. Oh
No.
yeah, it's Sorokin and Stroll for this year, but then next, Stroll's got that seat for the next 5 years if he wants it.
Yeah.
Don't look for us at the start of this season. Look for us at the end of next.
Don't look
That's
for
like McLaren squared.
Don't look for us at the start of this decade, maybe. Yeah, I don't want to say. I can't wait for them to announce something. They must be going to announce something before the end of the year, surely.
I don't think they will.
I think we're going to
do,
get
do you
to
want a tinfoil hat theory?
You know me.
Yeah, Lee does want a tinfoil hat theory. He wants it so bad.
It's taken a while because they've been working hard on getting a workable contract with Kubica.
And you still can't see the curvature.
And somehow his manager just couldn't come to an agreement.
So
But
he's accidentally got in the car.
So suddenly Nico Rosberg is going to be favourite to be in that car.
And you can see Nico Rosberg over large bodies of water.
Nico Rosberg, sponsored by Martini. Something tells me this is not the only thing that's going to be dry.
Every female that works there. But
No, Rosberg, if he were to ever return, he's not even made a sound like, oh, I miss racing. Everything he said has been like, nope, I'm fine. I'm happy being a family man. I'm winding down my Mercedes ambassadorial commitments. I've got. He's just signed a deal to become like Hugo Boss, world ambassador. And I'm a world ambassador.
Do you
for
like
Hugo
my watch?
Boss.
It goes with my beige tracksuit.
Yeah. And here's my classic car in Interlagos. Actually, it's at Monaco Harbour, but I've tagged myself in Interlagos because that's where the race is this weekend.
Now, Rosberg appears to be a professional tennis fan at the minute.
Apparently, it could have been a career for him. It was there was a choice when it got to a certain point in his youth where it was all right, tennis or racing, and he chose racing. Turned out all right in the end.
Shame you can't say the same for Lars Ulrich when he didn't choose tennis.
well, you get to a point, don't you, when your family has that much money that if you don't become a professional motor racing driver, you're either a tennis player or a water poloist.
No, a poloist, water polo.
Actual poloist,
Actual
yeah.
polo. Polo's the posh one, water polo's the fighty one in a swimming pool.
I think water polo is pretty posh as well.
God, you ever seen it?
Yeah, but I don't like. I wouldn't imagine it's the sort of the pursuit of the common man to be good as a career.
Hang on, Nico Rosberg in a swimming pool or Nico Rosberg on horseback? Horseback every time.
Imagine the hair. Imagine the locks.
He could do the Old Spice advert going, I'm on a horse.
It's not. It's not even.
Here's my trophy.
It's not even polo, is it? It's just Gymkhana. It is Gymkhana, isn't it?
Dressage.
Dressage. What's
He's
Gymkhana?
Gymkhana's jumpy horses, isn't it?
That's like a jumpy horse festival for kids.
Whereas
It's also what
is
Ken Block does in his car.
Right.
Dressage is the one where...
dancey horses.
Yeah.
Dancey horses, not stunt horses.
Yes. Dressage is dancing horses where the riders are that posh they have to wear a cravat and a top hat.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the really posh one.
Anyway, Formula One.
Oh, I thought that's what we were talking about.
Not really.
Oh, all right, fair enough. So, out of the latest candidates...
Or which Kubica does not appear to be one.
Yeah. So who do you think should get it then? Sorokin or Kvyat?
Well, if it's between those two, I'd plump for Danny Kvyat purely on the fact that he's raced before. And you've already got a young driver in that Williams team. If you already had somebody with 3-ish seasons of Formula One under their belt,
If it was Bottas that went and Massa was staying,
yeah,
then yes,
yeah, all right, stick Sorokin in.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's Lance Stroll. He's still going to be the youngest driver on the grid next year. So, you know,
I think it all depends on their long-term plan. If their long-term plan is, we'll take 2 drivers and build
finish
them up.
8th this year.
Yeah. We'll accept sliding a bit down the grid, but we've got a 5-year plan to be world champions again, or to be fighting for
Their
it.
long-term plan appears to be an investment corporation that go racing once every 2 weeks.
Which separates them from the rest of the grid. How?
Fair.
Because Ferrari aren't an investment corporation.
They're a T-shirt corporation.
They're a they're a spending corporation. Yeah, we spend because when we spend, it makes you want to spend.
They're pretty good at sacking as well.
Yeah, they are.
So you've got the choices of Sorokin, whose backers will pay his sponsorship, and Kvyat, where Max Verstappen will pay his redundancy money.
I choose Jensen.
I still say
Jensen's
someone who's
not a
not been
stupid
mentioned
idea.
yet.
No, it's the best idea. It's always the best idea.
You
So
said,
I think I've been saying that since before Sirotkin was.
I was going to say you said that last time, and now Sorotkin's been mentioned, who hasn't been previously mentioned. So you're still thinking somebody else entirely.
I would plumb for Sirotkin out of the two of them because he sounds like a knight. No, like
Right,
I
Sir
dub thee, Sir
Rotkin.
Yeah.
Sir Otkin.
yeah, Sirotkin. Arise, Sirotkin.
Sir Gay Otkin.
Sir Gay Sir Otkin.
That sounds like Alexa when it's trying to play something by Zig Zig Sputnik that I didn't ask it to do.
We're so sorry for anyone who's listening anywhere near one of those devices.
Yeah, Alexa, no.
Stop.
Hammer time?
Time.
Right, what have we got next? Oh, God. Oh, no, it's all right. There's something that we don't get ranty about. The official 2018 entry list is out for the World Championship, and there's a few name changes in there.
There's a couple of name changes. Some that you might be a little bit more, not that fussed about. McLaren go from being McLaren Honda Formula One team to just being McLaren F1 team.
But the two Red Bull teams now own all the words.
They now own all the words. Toro Rosso, since they were a team, which is 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Have always been Scuderia Toro Rosso, and
Yeah.
then sometimes they've had the engine in with their name, sometimes they haven't. They're now, in 2018, going to be called Red Bull Toro Rosso Honda. And Red Bull are going to be called Aston Martin Red Bull Racing.
Is the Toro Rosso thing because people kept on confusing STR as Scuderia Toro Rosso and STR as Stroll?
Oh, I don't know. I never thought about that, to be honest with you.
But of course, then you have the new Alfa Romeo Sauber team, and they're just going to be arse.
ARS F1, yeah.
I think it's a strong possibility.
Alfa Romeo Sauber Ericsson F1.
Longbow Capital. Or
Just to make it arse.
whatever it is they're called. And the new numbers are out for the season, and it would appear that Charles Leclerc got his third choice of number.
Right, he clearly doesn't watch Formula One, because what was his first choice?
7.
Well, obviously has been taken for the last few seasons by Kimi Raikkonen.
Who only took it because that was the number that he had in the last championship, where you didn't get to choose your own number, and he couldn't be asked picking a new one.
Yes, that is such a Kimmy thing to
Yeah. What number was I this year? 7. Well, I'll have the same again. Well, no one's chosen that, so that's your number. That's fine.
Then he wanted 10, which is Pierre Gasly.
Formerly Kamui Kobayashi.
Why would you want that?
Why would you want formerly Kamui Kobayashi?
I think Jensen Button was 10 as well at one point, wasn't he?
Probably that season he was in a car that came like 5th in the Constructors' Championship the year before.
Possibly.
And now Charles Leclerc has ended up with 16,
Which is his third choice.
and possibly his age.
No, he's about 20, isn't he? I think, Charles Leclerc.
No, he's past it then.
Yeah. He's too old for the Red Bull Young Driver program, put it that way. So yeah, there's there's one more name change on there, isn't there? Which is a bit odd.
There was the Force India one,
Yeah,
which is worth mentioning.
thank you. That's what I was thinking about, but couldn't quite find the info in my brain. Yeah, Force India. After all, let's change our name because India is not a relevant Formula One thing anymore. Bless you.
No, it's gone.
Are on the entry list as Sahara Force India.
So
Radical.
they have
Radical change.
That's a
So the
radical
news
change.
is there's no news.
News is that after telling us they were going to change, they then didn't. Which I don't know if it's you're allowed to amend that list now, or is that it?
No, I think once the entry list is in, the only thing that you can actually change is a title sponsor. Because if you think back to when Spiker bought Midland before they became Force India,
They raced as Spike.
they had to race the last 3 races of the season as Spiker Midland and only be a title sponsor rather than a team owner, because the official entry was in the name of Midland. And when Midland bought Jordan,
Yeah.
It was after Jordan had put their entry in, and that last year of
Jordan Midland or Midland Jordan?
No, it was just Jordan.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Midland didn't even put in as title sponsor. They were still Jordan F1, even though Eddie Jordan had sold the team to the Russians. So
That was a move that went well for the team.
Well, it turned into Force India. It kind of worked out in the end. But yeah, from going on previous, once that entry's in, that's it.
Okay.
So Force India's big name change
Is to Force India.
Yeah. Unless,
Boring.
of course, they get rid of Sahara as a title sponsor and they become Force One, Force India F1 team.
Wow.
F1.
Yeah.
That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we've been looking forward to finding out what they're going to be called for ages, and as it turns out,
We knew already.
We knew, yeah.
Which is what a disappointment.
It was already there. Right.
Yeah, the only thing interesting about Force India is the drivers. I can't wait to see what happens between those next year.
Also on the entry list is that's the Williams seat, the only open seat left.
That is the last seat that is available.
The final available seat.
It's right. The FIA Women's Commission on Motorsport
Has raised eyebrows and opinions
and hackles.
Mainly from, as Dan stated earlier, those it affects the most, which is
Women.
which is what you'd expect
Yeah.
as well. You'd expect them to speak up about a decision that affects them. Some drivers in other disciplines around the world are disappointed that the FIA have appointed Carmen Jorda to the FIA Women's Commission.
It was Pippa Mann who spoke out quite vociferously about it on Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah, did she say something along the lines of, I don't want to be represented by somebody who has no notable results in motorsport, and also who doesn't believe that women can race as equals to men, because apparently this is something Carmen Jordan has said in the past.
And I think it's the latter point that's the important one.
Yeah.
I would like to see the quote, to be fair, before we lambast Karma Jorda, because I don't know what the quote was.
I've got the response from Pippa Man
Yeah.
saying, "Dear FIA, if the news I'm hearing is correct and you've appointed a racer with no notable results who does not believe we compete as equals in this sport to represent women in racing, I am incredibly disappointed. Sincerely, an Indy 500 qualifier and Indy Lights race winner."
No, yeah, but I
the
put
Karma
Karma Jorda's
Jorda.
quote. Yeah.
Right,
There have been other female drivers who've come and spoken out.
Because I remember she was plumbing for the female in the championship, wasn't she? Karma Jorda.
I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
I remember that.
Yes,
she was a Lotus development driver, wasn't she? With
Yeah.
with the Lotus Formula One team.
never drove the car.
Personally, I think the female-only driving series is kind of a step
Backwards. Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure. It could be, or it could be helpful if it's a top level motorsport, like say the Women's World Cup is for football.
Yeah.
The Women's World Cup shows women play football really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because England do well in that, and they don't in the men's tournament.
So if you've got a women's Formula One championship that showcases women racing incredibly well, it will be a good thing. And you'll end up with men complaining that, well, women are allowed to drive in like the World Formula One championship. Why do they have to have their own one? Why can't there be a men only
I don't
one?
mean it like that. All I want is when there's women. I've said this before in the podcast. When we get a female Formula One driver, I want her to be like a legitimate Formula One driver.
They're on merit, not just because.
Absolutely.
Not Karma Jorda standing next to a Lotus, but I just don't.
Right, I've got the quote
Go
here.
on, hit me with it.
Okay, they think because we are driving a car, we're on the same level as men, which is completely not true because we will never be the same as them. I've had to fight through many things to get to the top of this sport just because I'm a woman, and that's not fair. To me, that sounds like she's kind of contradicting herself all within the same sentence. we're not as good,
She's trying to big
and
herself up.
it's harder for women to be as.
I don't think she was saying
Seen as
that.
good.
That to me says she thinks that the sport might be prejudiced towards women. This is why I wanted to hear that, because I was almost convinced it was going to be one of these quotes that's probably been paraphrased and can be seen in many different ways.
Bearing in mind as well that it's a quote that's not in her native language.
I was just going to, or at very best, in a native language and then translated.
Yeah.
So, see, the thing is, like, as far as her position goes, if it turns out to be a position which is better represented by somebody that's more personable, you know, and that's maybe she fits that role perfectly, you know. But I don't. Yeah, I think
It's who she's representing in the sport, I think, more than anything. She's representing all women in motorsport on the FIA commission, FIA Women's Commission.
Yeah,
board.
now there's another member of the commission that's actually come out in support of Pippa Mann against Carmen Jorda. Lena Gade, who is an engineer for one of the WEC teams, and she's got 3 Le Mans victories.
Yeah.
Under her belt, and she tweeted, "I'm in the commission, an ambassador for engineering, but I'm addressing this with them before commenting further, but I choose to compete in a man's world. Like so many other women in countless motorsport roles, we want to be the best against males and females. Can't do that, play another game."
So she agrees with me, basically, about stuff. See, this is the thing. I think they both got problems with Carmen Jorda for different reasons.
Possibly.
No, that's the it sounds like there's always going to be like Pippa Mann's quote is almost like saying, yeah, well, she got that, I'd have been much better at that job, and I can't quite take that seriously.
I think what Pippa Mann's saying is that Carmen Jorda doesn't represent the best of women in racing, because she isn't. Because there are women racers out there with better records.
Was Danica Patrick recently announced her retirement?
Yeah, I'd argue if you had better record than Carmen Jorda, then you'd just be racing. So why would you want the extra job of overseeing all women in motorsport if you're good enough to be competing?
Yeah, I don't think Pippa Mann's actually a full-time driver anymore. She just seems to do like 1 or 2 Indy races a year.
Well, then she's not even a full-time competitor, and she's saying that.
And Carmen Jorda doesn't appear to do anything anymore.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like the role. It doesn't sound like the role of a racing driver.
Other than a bit of modelling here and there.
Yeah, well, I mean,
is,
that is it. Yeah,
which I think is part of the problem that some people have with her as well, because she's gone on to be, you know, have a bit of a modelling career, we could say, post racing. Yeah. It's just like, well, hang on a second, she's now not racing because she wasn't.
Yeah.
If she gets a computer virus named after her, she will be the new Anna Kournikova.
I think it's the same as like whether anyone likes to admit it to themselves or not, depending on how strongly they feel about this situation. Women are the minority in motorsport just because less women want to be in motorsport. That's not sexist saying that. There are less people that choose to do something. Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah, which is what Susie Wolf's Dare to Be Different thing is about.
Is
that what it's called? Dare to Be Different, something like that. I feel terrible for.
See, Susie Wolf, I find slightly two-faced with it as well, because she didn't make it to Formula One and then retired.
No, but I can kind of admire that in a way.
So did Davide Valsecchi.
Yeah. got as far as she could get, and when she realised, you know, you're not being considered for a Formula One seat. Okay, well, that's as far as I can go. Then I'll quit, because I don't want to go and race in the lower formula. I wanted to push myself as hard as I could.
Yeah.
So I kind of admire that about people who you know, much like Davide Valsecchi, you know, GP2 champion. Oh, you're not going to get a Formula One drive this year. Well, then I'm out. But you can't just quit. Well, I just did. Yeah.
Maybe.
Now I can eat what I want and shout at people on TV.
This is true, and he does that very well.
Yes, he does.
For real driving and e-gaming as well.
Could you imagine, like, so if we're looking at like as just purely because of numbers, like females in motorsport are a minority compared to men. So if you're looking at a minority coming into Formula One, imagine how fucking rubbish it would have been if Lewis Hamilton had got his drive simply because he was black, and then he ended up not being very good and stuff like that. It was great that he was our first black Formula One driver, which was an achievement, and then he turns out to be one of the best drivers in the fucking world.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want people to do things on merit, not just because it's inclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you there, and I think it's probably more likely that the next female Formula One driver will be more of a Jolyon Palmer than a Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Because
There
most
are more
drivers are Jolyon
Yeah.
Palmers.
There are more Jolyon Palmers and Lewis Hamiltons out there. Yeah.
Just in terms of the number of people going into F1.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be great if there was, for example, Susie Wolf's program produced this one phenomenal female driver who was able to really take a Formula One title fight.
Yeah, but that would be amazing, and hopefully that's
of course
what
it
they'll
would.
do. But I think the problem is
that would shut up all the people once and for all who say, "Well, women can't race with men."
But I think you're like a generation away from this now. Like the ground is being laid now.
That's what the Dare
for
to Be
the
Different
future.
program is
Yeah,
doing. It's putting in the grassroots stuff.
I think
It's years
that's-
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. There's nothing wrong with it being years away. It's only in the last couple of years. Like like most of our listeners will know that I like pro wrestling. It's only in the last couple of years that female pro wrestlers have been like putting on matches as good as the men, and that's
taken seriously and not just looked at for
not because they weren't capable of it.
in an objective way.
Yeah, but because to get people in the sport, you need people to be spurred on and inspired to do so. And then as soon as people are inspired to do that as a young age, you then have to wait for them fuckers to grow up, and then they can be involved.
And I mentioned the Women's World Cup. It's only in the last couple of years that in Britain women's soccer's been taken seriously, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since the London Olympics, I'd say.
Well, I think the big thing about it with the women's soccer is that they it's big networks like the BBC, for example, start showing it like live matches when they were actually being played
and reporting on it equally in the news,
which is what they should be doing.
Of course.
That's where the change has got to come in effect, but you have to have the numbers there first.
Yeah.
At the moment, the numbers just aren't there. We've come to what I think is the same conclusion as what we came to last time we spoke about women in
There's got to be
Formula
the
One.
interest in participation as well as the interest in watching.
Yeah. But on the Commodore thing, I don't think it's a terrible thing. I think you've got a couple of people who've got a problem with it, but like most things in the world, when somebody says something a couple of people don't like, it's the couple of people that don't like it that get reported on, not the hundreds or thousands of people that don't care.
I do think that if what she did mean was that women can't participate at the same level as men and it's not possible, then she's probably the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm. I think it was more of a barrier to entry thing rather than a genetics thing.
And of course, genetics does play a part. You do need strength to wrestle a racing car around.
Yeah.
You also need endurance, and women are as good at that as men are.
Yeah.
Look at people like Chrissy Wellington, who's won how many Ironman world titles?
I don't know because you're the triathlon fan in the room.
Several.
If Sean was with us,
He would know that.
If Sean was with us, he would know how many, her individual times, her times for each transition,
yeah.
and what gear ratio she was using on the bike.
I mean, we do need another female representative in Formula One now that Nico Rosberg's retired.
Brittany, good old Brittany Rosberg. But just one thing to point out that before we move on from this story is that I think the one thing that does hurt women perhaps coming into motorsport, especially single-seater racing on circuits, is that there hasn't been a successful driver in the past, and there will have to be that one that sort of breaks in and breaks them all.
Yeah.
If you look at every Formula One driver, every female Formula One driver that's been involved in the sport, they've almost been laughed at or a little bit of a joke because they're so they were so slow, and it's not because they were women; it's because they were
slow drivers in slow cars that, in the most part, they were paying for their driving.
Yeah.
Giovanna Amati, for example, in that Brabham.
Susie Wolf was not quick. Crashed into Felipe Massa.
Felipe Nasr in the in the Tour in 2015.
I don't know if she ran into the back of him. He was driving a Manor, so.
No, he was in
in a Sauber. Sorry,
in a Sauber back when Saubers were
all right.
Okay,
better than the Manors.
better than Manor.
Yeah.
Just quickly, we didn't mention this one last week, but Kim Jong-Todd has got his third term as FIA president.
Yeah,
After saying he was only standing for one term.
Yeah, and he's now stood unopposed for his third.
they had the FIA prize giving ceremony this week, in which everybody turned up in black tie except for Lewis Hamilton. He
appeared to be wearing a ski jacket made out of glitter.
Yeah, basically, and I think his reasoning was, "What are you going to do? Kick me out? I'm the star of attraction. I'm here because most people who are here to watch are here because of me." Which, all right, okay, is a bit arrogant, but the other two people who were there,
he's the best in the world. He's allowed to be.
Well, hang on a second. The other two who were there collecting prizes for drivers were Vettel and Bottas. So.
Not to forget, of course, the last person to turn up to collect the World Champions Trophy, not in black tie, was James Hunt, who
turned up in
jeans and a pair of sandals, and they had to drag him out of the pub to go to the ceremony. Something tells me that didn't happen with Lewis.
But didn't they have to put sandals on him because he was bare feet?
Probably.
Am I the only person in the room that actually thinks Lewis Hamilton's cool? He's not for me. Like that's the thing. I think people need to realise this sometimes. If you don't like Lewis, it's because he's not for you.
Yeah, on track, as he's proven over and over and over again, he's brilliant. I love watching Lewis Hamilton race because when he's chasing people, he really hunts them down. But when off track, when he does these, he is building the brand, the Hamilton brand, and I can see why that puts people off. Is that part of Lewis Hamilton? Not for me either. But when it comes to the racing, yeah, Lewis Hamilton is, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, Brand Hamilton. It's an aspirational thing, you know. You two can be like this. I don't want to go jet skiing with Justin Bieber,
no,
so
again,
that's why it's not for me. But I appreciate what he does behind the wheel.
This isn't even me taking the piss out of you because it stands for all of us. To be fair, because you're too old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is for young people to look at. You know, and it's. Well, as soon as you hit a certain age, unless you're famous and really cool, you're old.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Like me. I'm famous and really cool.
You nearly made it there. You nearly got there.
Oh yeah, he is the Teletubbies of Formula One. It's something for the kids. Am I throwing a too old pop culture reference in?
No, Teletubbies is still a thing.
Oh right, okay. Well, they stopped making it years ago, didn't they?
No, still going. Still going.
Fair enough. So yes, Jean Todt, he's doing better than Max Mosley, but then again, it would be hard to do worse.
I don't think he is doing better than Max Mosley.
Max Mosley. The thing is, Max Mosley and Bernie Ecclestone worked really well together. When Max Mosley was in charge of the FIA and Bernie was running Formula One, those two were always together.
They were each other's second in command.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. So
I think they worked as good counterpoints to each other, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
You do all that hard work on one sexy party, and it's all done.
Yeah, and the
But you really wouldn't want to see those pictures of Jean Todt.
No, you really wouldn't. But the hang on, did you see the pictures of Max Mosley?
There was footage on the internet.
There was that picture of him in uniform.
Yeah, yes. We won't say any more about that. Let's not say any more about that. But yeah, Mosley and Ecclestone worked really well together, but that's obviously an era that's well past now, and it's Jean Todt is now looking after the FIA. From a Formula 1 background, of course, he was the chief of Ferrari for many years.
But he's also got a rally background. He was
a rally
Peugeot
driver,
team.
wasn't he? Was he not a rally driver way back in the day, Jean Todt?
He might have been,
or a co-driver. I got a feeling he might have been a co-driver actually.
He was
a co-driver from 1966 to 1981.
There you go.
And then took over Peugeot.
Yes, there you go. So both points proved correct.
Yes.
Good left-handed googling there, Paul. But yeah, the Jean Todt and Chase Carey, I suppose, are now in those two positions that Mosley and Eccleston were in. And you get the feeling it's not... Well, you don't even get the feeling. It's not quite the same relationship, is it, that Mosley and Eccleston had? You know, that Mosley and Eccleston were friends, and like Paul saying...
Friends and enemies.
Yeah, but like Paul was saying before, they were each other's second in command because they knew it worked, and it worked out well. You wouldn't see Jean Todt giving Chase Carey, the vice presidency of the FIA, and vice versa. It just wouldn't work, would it? But
I think Jean Todt's done quite a lot in other areas of the FIA that are, aside from Formula One, that we don't actually get to see as much, because he's massively spearheaded the road safety campaign. Because, I mean, don't forget, president of the FIA, basically, you're in charge of cars, not just racing.
Yeah, because if you remember from the Senna documentary, Jean-Marie Balestre, who was president of the FIA...
Who wanted to adopt Alain Prost, basically.
Yeah. He says in a driver briefing, which I think is for the Japanese Grand Prix one year, he says, you must behave properly because the drivers... all the people watching you on TV, for some reason, they think they are you and, you are like them. So you must act in a role model, responsible way. So, yeah, in a way, the FIA is kind of in charge of what, influencing what actual drivers do on the road. So a road safety campaign is, a step in the right direction for the FIA.
Yeah.
And if he spearheaded that and really sort of pushed that quite hard, then all the best to him. But I mean,
has it?
But what does it mean?
Has it done anything other than stick action for road safety stickers on Formula One cars?
But what is it? I was going to ask. What has Jean Todt actually put in place?
Do they need to do more?
Apart from the aqueducts and the stickers on the cars,
Formula
and the
One.
hospitals.
What has Jean Todt ever done for us?
I can see a T-shirt coming on here.
No, seriously, it's a serious question. What has he put in place as president of the FIA? Because the change in 2014 to hybrid, that was already decided before he took charge of the FIA, wasn't it?
No, he's been president since 2009.
That was decided when the hybrid era. I think it was just after that, actually, wasn't it?
It was afterwards.
2010, 2011, I think that came in, actually. So I stand corrected. He may have been responsible for the hybrid era. But that's about it.
He doesn't seem to have been a
He's not
high-key president.
No, he's very... You don't see him very often, do you? Let's be honest. At Formula One events, even at other motorsport events, when he's there, he's not... Look at me.
I saw him at the Formula E at Battersea Park.
Yeah, he's
very short man.
Yeah, but he is very short. But he's not like, look at me, I'm Jean Todt.
No.
And even if he was, you'd be like, well, where are you? I still can't see you. But
Of course you're a little lad. Now run along.
go buy me a loaf.
You boy, what day is this?
But you know these things where people...
turkey in the window, big as your head. A Sauber, I think it's called.
No, that's the last one in the shop.
But with these fixed terms of like presidencies of sport and things like this, and it's the same with like FIFA and other sporting bodies. There needs to be implemented something by law where you have to change the presidency after a fixed term, like in US law.
So Jean Todt would be the Prime Minister of the FIA.
Well, it's a maximum of 3 terms now that they're brought in.
It is a maximum.
Yeah, this is his final term.
After saying he would only do one.
After saying he'll do one, he's standing for the full 3 that are allowed.
Fine. That's okay. I didn't realise there was a fixed term thing in place, but now that there is,
They basically changed it after Max Mosley because he said he was going to be president for life. Which the other people that I remember saying things like that are Idi Amin, Kim Jong-il,
Adolf Hitler. Well, Kim Jong-il was president for life.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. President for life.
So this is why they brought it in, to avoid issues.
Do you think there's a case we made sometimes when you get something like massive like Formula One, or I suppose football as well, when you look at the FIFA like problems and things, do certain things get that big where they're essentially a bit too big for their governing body?
I think so, yeah.
Would Formula One be better off if it was a self-contained entity?
Like IndyCar is in the US, because that's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
an FIA championship. That's just IndyCar.
Take it NASCAR, is that the say?
Yeah, I don't think there's. I don't think either of the. I think the only FIA aligned series in the US, and I might be wrong on that, are the sort of real lower end dirt track series.
Yeah.
Isn't what Dave Daddario races in FIA approved? Formula Atlantic.
I will have a look.
I think it is.
But it seems to me that
Dave, if you're listening, let us know.
when you get these problems, it's when Sepp Blatter was in charge of FIFA, there were big problems.
No, it's the IMSA.
When Bernie
right,
Ecclestone was in charge of Formula One, there got to be problems. It seems that when you know the name of the guy in charge,
There's problems.
there's problems. You want a guy in charge who's making sure that the whole organisation is working to make the best decisions possible. Not some figurehead who's saying, right, we're doing this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. It's kind of a sort of parallel example. The FIM that run motorcycling. Couldn't tell you who was in charge of that, and it's someone called Vito Ippolito.
What a name.
Yeah, and he's that anonymous. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
Vito Ippolito sounds like an ice cream.
He's mates with Gino Ginelli. But you never get the same level of scandal coming out of the FIM that you do out of the FIA, and well, you don't get anywhere near as much scandal as you do in FIFA.
Or the IOC.
Yeah.
Is that because people who race motorcycles are a little bit more respectful of each other? In that, you know, if they don't do it right, people do die and get a lot more
I know
hurt.
exactly what's happened is because as you go down the scale there of where the scandal is, there's less money involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the three richest sporting organisations in the world: the FIA, the IOC, and FIFA.
Yeah.
Well, that's where all the
They're the
scandals
most
have been.
corrupt.
Yeah.
Strange. How weird.
And it took the IOC, what was it, like 4 years to work out that Russia should probably be banned from the next Olympics. So hang on a second, let me get this right. So the state was ordering athletes to be doped so that they could perform better than other athletes, and it's taken us all this time to work out, we should ban them.
Jeff, the shot putter's green.
Moving on. Autosport have been polling, careful, all the F1 team principals to rate their top 10 drivers.
Is this a vote then?
This is a vote. They voted for the top
Never
10.
heard of this
Oh, I see.
before.
Sorry. So they've made the team principals
They made
vote
the
for the
team
drivers.
principals vote.
Apparently it's something that happens every year and it's like a closed ballot so no one knows what anyone's voting.
Well, I quite like that. You just fuck it up.
Spoiler, Stroll got votes. Williams voted for Stroll.
Did Ericsson get votes?
Yes.
But they've only revealed the top 10.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all. That
Well,
we
hang
can
on a
find.
second. There are only 10 team principals.
Yeah, but each team principal voted for a top 10.
It's done in the same point system as the top 10.
Formula One.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's the top 10 of top 10s.
Yes. So the chart of charts.
One top 10 to rule them all.
Uncharted 5.
One top 10 to bind them.
So Lewis Hamilton was Lord of the Rings
Yes.
with 233 out of a maximum of 250 points.
They
Wow.
liked
Someone
him.
didn't like him quite as much.
No.
So,
Probably.
hang on, so 233 out of possible 200. He must have only gotten like a couple of second places.
Yeah, he dropped 17 points in total, so that would be...
A third and a second.
Yeah. So Ferrari will have voted him third behind there too.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. And
Probably.
somebody at Bottas. Mercedes, just for a laugh, will have put Bottas ahead of Hamilton.
McLaren.
I don't know, you could say that Verstappen was above him.
You
He
could
was-
say
he
that
was-
Alonso was as well.
Verstappen
Yeah.
was in second. Vettel third, Ricardo 4th, Ocon 5th. This is purely based on track performance.
I was amazed by
Ocon
Ocon being
5th.
so high up in,
Good.
in the eyes of the teams.
That's good news for Esteban. I do like Esteban Ocon. He comes across as a top lad.
Yeah,
Be Ocon on the door of a proper drive.
You're the only dad in the room. You're allowed to make the dad jokes. Fernando was 6th. And a tie for 7th between Kimi and Carlos.
Which I find slightly harsh on Kimi, because I think Kimi did a better job than Carlos, especially after the team swap.
Yeah, but Carlos earned the team swap.
He did earn it too. Yeah, but he wasn't setting the world alight this year.
I mean,
But
4th place
Kimi
didn't.
wasn't either.
No.
Can you think of a really good Kimi drive?
Monaco, when he should have
yeah,
won.
that's it. That he should have won in Monaco, but Ferrari
Was there
didn't.
another race as well where he should have won? He was well quicker than Vettel, and his car fucked. He
Can't
was
remember.
like quicker all weekend. I'm sure there was another one.
I think Singapore might have been looking good for Raikkonen.
He did qualify behind Sebastian in Singapore.
Yeah, but he was still third. You know, he was still up there with his teammate.
Mm.
And then out there with his teammate.
Hulkenberg was 9th. And Bottas in 10th.
Oh wow, that's harsh on Valtteri.
That is not a lot of love for him. That comes as a surprise in some ways, but could Bottas have had a better season?
Yes, he could have won the World Championship or been second in the World Championship. Was he second in the World Championship? No, Vettel was.
Third.
So,
He collided with Kimi a couple of times where he didn't really have to.
He was another one of the drivers that should have won in Baku.
Half the field should have won in Baku.
Yeah.
At one point, I was in 6th.
we'll get to Formula Lee later.
I was slightly upset about my performance there, actually.
We will hopefully have a season review next week with
Of Formula Lee?
of Formula One. With Sean Kelly, who at the moment is enjoying some time off after creating a massive documentary on his local Major League Soccer team.
Yeah, actual friend of the podcast.
Yes, not friend-in-law.
No.
This week is friend on holiday.
Yes.
So we're hoping that Sean will be able to join us next week. And more guest news to come soon.
Yeah, hopefully so. I'm looking forward to hopefully confirming a guest before the beginning of next season.
Yes.
Massive guest.
No,
Spoil-
it's only about 5'7".
Spoiler, not my mum.
No, she's only about 5'5".
Yeah.
Chris, do you want to get the guitar out?
Is it that time already?
Do you want to open your laptop? It is that time already. Because basically,
Winter podcasting lark.
yeah, there's not a great deal going on, so we are on a total shunt time.
It means
Well,
we
the
get
thing
to
is-
go to Penny Bobos early, though.
It does, yeah, but we'll get to the 2-hour podcast as soon as Williams announce what they're doing, and you
And
know,
we can tell them why they were wrong.
yeah.
There's only so much conjecture we can have every week. Make the bloody announcement.
Total shunt, total shunt. Everybody, it's a total shunt. Williams, what will they do? Circuits are rocking or someone else? Look out! Here comes a total shunt.
So who sent in this week's?
Matt. On Twitter, I can't say what his Twitter name is.
Okay,
You can tell
I
us.
genuinely can't.
don't show Paul.
Fanatic Esh.
Does Paul know who it is now?
No, I'm
No.
not wearing my glasses. I
But
couldn't.
I'm got Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Matt, that'll do.
The luckily enough, I didn't. You didn't see who it was then.
Clue number 1.
I was born
Correct way to start total shunt again. Good effort. Maximum points, Matt.
in 1963.
Someone older than me.
Sean Kelly would have got it by now.
1963, Paul. 1963.
I achieved 2 podium finishes in my Formula One career.
2 podium finishes for somebody who is 54-ish.
Yeah.
I was 1987 Formula 3000 champion. I would
1980.
now
so,
like a guess.
So it would have been 24. Formula 3000 is essentially what Formula 2 is now. It was the series down from Formula 1, and was a support race at quite a lot of the Formula 1 races.
So we're looking at someone who came into Formula 1 in
late 80s, early 90s.
Something like that.
Yeah, somebody 1963, Formula 3000 champion in 1987.
Not a stat that we know off the top of our heads.
No, I'm just trying to think. You're probably looking
Hang on.
at somebody who drove like Tyrrell or somebody like that, who occasionally got a podium. And
Like two podiums.
2 podiums.
It's not Johnny Herbert then.
no, it's going to be some like Tyrrell or a Lotus driver. The one that occasionally crops up on a podium somewhere.
I'm going to press you for a guess.
How old is he now?
Johnny Herbert.
No,
54.
54. Derek Warwick?
Hey, that's what I think he might be a bit
I think
younger
he's a little,
than
I
that.
think Derek Warwick might be a little bit older than that, because he was
He was still racing.
Oh, no,
in
he
the
was
late
in- he was-
90s.
He was in Formula 1 in the 80s, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in Formula 1 before '87.
Right.
I remember he was driving when I was at school, because I was a fan, and I wrote his name on my slate with some chalk.
That is so rock and roll.
I am joking.
Carved it into his arm.
I used a quill.
Should we go with 2 podiums?
Who was the last Japanese driver to get a podium?
Kamui Kobayashi.
And the one before that?
Did Ukyo Katayama ever get any podiums?
Yes, possibly.
I don't think he did. But he may have done. Aguri Suzuki.
Don't think he was that good. Definitely not Taki Inui.
No.
Let's go for Ukyo Katayama.
All right. I don't think it will be, but Ukyo Katayama down as the first guess.
Right. I was offered a one-off drive for Brabham in 1987.
Ooh.
Could be anyone.
No.
I was thinking Thierry Boutsen, perhaps, but he's been he more than 2 podiums.
I was going to say he's definitely had more than 2 podiums.
He won races, Thierry Boutsen.
The next question might narrow it down for you slightly. My last F1 entry was in 1992 at the Australian Grand Prix.
So retired at the end of the 92 season.
Yeah, because
then.
that was the season closer at the time, wasn't
Yes,
it?
it was. Yes, and last F1 entry was at the end of the 92 season.
Bloody hell.
David Brabham.
Did he ever get on the podium?
Don't know.
And was it twice if he did?
Don't know. There's a bit of hype
You
about...
don't need to give me an answer here. You can have the next question.
There's a bit of hype around David Brabham at the time, wasn't there? But I don't think he raced after the Brabham team collapsed at the end of 92. Well, that was when Brabham stopped, wasn't it? 92, because Hill drove for them in 92. And then...
No, Hill drove from in 93.
No, he was a Williams
Sure he
driver
did.
in 93 because he won his first win was the Hungarian Grand Prix in 93.
I'm forgetting where I was at a particular point in time. Happens when you get to my age.
And when you're not working on the same calendar as the rest of us.
There is nothing.
Gregorian,
there's
Paul,
nothing
Gregorian.
wrong with the Gregorian calendar. I am not giving up those 17 days. Happy Michaelmas.
Now I want there to be a public holiday called Nicholas, which is just your day. I had 11 more race entries than race starts in my Formula 1 career.
So it's someone that wasn't good at qualifying.
Or who was in a team that was
Not good at
not
qualifying.
good at qualifying.
I will remind you, I now want a guess.
Oh, hang on. The original Stig, Perry McCarthy. No, he never got podiums, did he?
Jenny McCarthy?
Perry McCarthy.
Yeah,
How about Martin Donnelly? Oh no, he stopped after that awful accident, didn't he? In 1990.
That was 1990 because that was the one that really shook Senna up.
Yeah,
I watched Senna the other night 'cause it was on TV.
yeah. Second mention for that wonderful documentary on the podcast tonight.
Which, if you haven't seen it, mentioning no names, Gemma, watch it.
Tremendous.
Absolutely.
You'll do a cry.
If you're a Formula One fan looking for Christmas presents,
Buy it.
you could. Well, no, get someone else to buy it for you. That's how presents work.
Oh,
Or if you know a Formula One fan that's looking for Christmas presents,
buy it.
When did Michael Andretti?
he
enter
didn't make it
Formula
to the
One?
end of the season. He got binned off halfway through for being shit.
And that was 93, I think. Anyway. Okay. Do we need to put another guess in,
Any
don't
guess?
we?
Although I've not got anything closer than Michael Andretti.
Dan, anything?
No.
Yeah, should we just Michael Andretti as a token answer?
It's not, but yeah,
Yeah.
Michael Andretti.
At one point in my Formula One career, actually, sorry, it doesn't say Formula One, but I don't know whether that doesn't mean it's Formula One. It's just not written there. So for clarity,
You're reading the question as it's
saying-
written down.
Yes. In my career, Martin Brundle was my teammate.
He's been
That
everybody's
doesn't narrow it down, yeah.
Yeah, it still could be you in Baku.
I know who it is.
Oh,
No, I don't. I've got it wrong.
I don't know. Who do you think it is?
Bray Walker.
I thought it was Riccardo Patrese, but it's not.
No, he definitely had more than two
Yeah.
podiums.
He was
And he also-
quite good by all counts.
Allegedly, yes.
And also, referencing the Hungarian Grand Prix in 1993 again, he finished second to Damon Hill, but only because Damon Hill refused to lap him.
I retired from motorsport in the year 2000. Maybe
Retired to
that's
take up
what-
something else.
Maybe he's what Y2K was all about. Maybe he just broke down.
Gabriele Tarquini.
I thought he was doing like world touring cars until
The
about
last,
Tuesday.
yeah, he's kind of been doing stuff this season, hasn't he?
Is he still racing, Tarquini? Because Tarquini went from Formula One to British touring cars.
So did Nigel Mansell.
So did Derek Warwick.
Yeah, Nigel Mansell was in Formula One way before.
He had more than two podiums.
More than two podiums.
This next one might help you because I've never heard this, but it's so fucking specific. If you know it,
I think people
you
are
know
shouting
the
at the podcast for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
I think Total Shunt may have stumped us, but there are people shouting at us.
Are you the Brabham fan? No.
This guy was obviously a clever lad or a fucking nutcase.
Go on.
I was known to race with my gloves inside out, but I claimed it wasn't due to superstition.
Ayrton Senna raced with his gloves inside out.
Again, more than two podiums.
But I don't know of any other driver who did. Martin Brundle was his teammate is kind of something I think we need to look at.
Brundle was Ayrton Senna's teammate.
No, he replaced Ayrton Senna at McLaren
Formula 3000.
for
Something like that,
possibly.
I'm just being a cunt. Obviously, more than two podiums.
Martin Brundle.
I think Dan's having a stroke.
Yeah.
I'll dock you a point for that. All participants must start and finish the quiz.
Ligier driver Martin Brundle was at Ligier later than late 80s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was early 90s. Martin
Brundle was. I remember Martin Brundle was there in the 90s because he got bought out of his seat for one race and the car exploded and he was commentating saying, "That's my car," while it was on fire.
I am quite stumped with this one.
Yeah.
I've thought of of an extra question that I'll give you at the end as a Spaffer question.
We might need the
Gonna bloody
Spaffer.
need it at this rate.
My surname is also my place of birth.
Are you
Dave London.
Roger Doncaster.
Surname is place of birth.
Would you like my Spaffer clue? It's not really a Spaffer clue because I'll own up here. I can see the guy's name. No fucking idea who he
It's
is.
the only one I can think of, and I don't know if he was actually born there, but Johnny Dumfries, who was the Earl of Dumfries, and was a bit crap at Formula One.
But that was earlier than that, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Would you like your 11th and final question?
Yes, please.
I have given my forename to the to an ex-Ferrari principal.
Stefano Domenicali, Luca Di Montezemolo,
Jean Todt.
yeah, Jean Todt,
Enzo Ferrari.
Jean-Christophe Bouillon. No, he wasn't.
Did he get podiums?
Don't know.
Jean Todt sounds like the name of a small man, doesn't it?
Jean-Christophe Bouillon. John Christopher Soup.
Went on to form JCB.
You talked to
Dan wins the quiz.
Talking of which, anyone see the pictures of Lance Stroll doing a goodwill visit to the JCB factory this week? They had him posing in the bucket of a large digger.
No, missed that completely.
Amazing. This is how I carry my money around.
I'm stumped.
Yeah, I am too.
Have we not even got a third guess? No third guess.
Luca Badoa, but that wasn't his last. He never had two podiums, and it also wasn't his last Formula One entry.
So Luca Badoa's last race would have been Belgium 2009.
Yeah, something like that. No, before that. It's
Because he was driving. He filled in for Massa, and then Fisichella.
right.
Then
Yeah.
they got Fisichella
Yeah.
in because Fisichella all of a sudden became good.
yeah.
So you've got Stefano ideas. Stefano ideas.
Oh, I know who it is. Got it. Stefano
Moderna.
Yeah, Modern.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am, with no help whatsoever.
Jeez, that was tough. Thank you to, what was it, Matt?
Yeah, thanks, man. That was a really good one.
Great one. Right, let's have a look at a few things that have
Well,
come in.
I'm going to give that one to Matt because we didn't get it without
Yeah,
Lee's
you
double
definitely
spaffer. Without Lee's double spaffer.
Well done, Matt.
That was a hard one. As in difficult.
Right, we didn't get that. Right, let's have a look what's coming on.
Are we doing Formula Lee?
I was going to have a quick go through the mailbag and tell people how to get in touch before we move on to Formula Lee this week.
I'm just. You know why I'm itching to move on to Formula Lee.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I've got the times and the scores in front of me. And I should be itching to get onto it even more, but Dan doesn't want to do it just yet.
No.
Simon Joy sent us a message saying that Ferrari could be announcing a healthy cigarette sponsor to replace Santander on the cars, because of course Santander have pulled out sponsoring the team.
Well, like an e-cig.
No, it's a new cigarette technology called IQOS from Philip Morris, where it's a high-tech device that heats rather than burns tobacco, and it's like vaping with tobacco, and apparently they're trying to see if that's legal to advertise. So it could be tobacco advertising is back in Formula One.
I'm amazed that there is no e-cigs advertising in Formula One.
The money it costs to advertise on a Formula One car,
Yeah.
and there's
It's not that big yet.
There's no big e-cig companies.
Right, okay.
Your RJ Reynolds and Philip Morris's of the world,
Yeah.
and British American Tobaccos, they don't have e-cig products that they're sinking that much money into at the moment to put it on. Williams had Nicotin, on the cars for a
Yeah,
while.
I remember that.
The nicotine chewing gum.
Yeah.
But there's no real big e-cig brands. And you don't really see a lot of e-cigarette sponsorship apart
Put
from...
me in hospital with a suspected heart attack due the nicotine patches.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you know what the terrible thing was about it? It was during a Formula 1 race. I can't remember which one it was. It was on Sunday. I ended up having to go to hospital. And I got up, I collapsed, I looked at the television and I thought, I can't believe the last thing I see is Schumacher win a race. And that was genuinely the last, before I got bundled into a car to go to hospital, I was mortified that the last thing I was going to see was Schumacher on a podium.
Yep.
You were
You have
actually
the-
mortified.
You had the same problem as me with the patches, and you got a whole day's worth of nicotine in about 30 seconds. It just sent you
Possibly.
haywire, because that's what happened to me.
Possibly.
So don't smoke, and try not to use patches.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just be good.
What would we think about seeing alternative nicotine delivery adverts back in Formula
Well,
1?
I mean, is it if Zippo lighters were to sponsor a car? You saw a little Zippo logo on, I don't know, for argument's sake, the Ferrari.
I'd probably burn someone's house down.
I mean, you
Zippos aren't highly addictive.
no, but you mean you wouldn't? It's tobacco.
And they also burn your legs when you overfill them and put one in your jeans pocket.
So
Handy-
don't do that.
So, handy hint there, speaking
Yeah,
from
there's
experience.
there's not enough room on a car to write that, Paul. But it's not a tobacco product. It's a tobacco associated product. It's like Rizzlers on superbikes.
Yeah,
You can have Rizzlers, but you can't advertise tobacco. So
and Swan matches.
on motorcycles,
motorbikes.
yeah, British superbikes, Swan
Yeah.
Yamaha, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting round it, but Swan are probably Swan and Rizzler are probably owned by
By
Tobacco-
cigarette companies,
tobacco
yeah.
producing companies.
Absolutely. I don't see a problem with it because nobody else had a problem with Rizzler being plastered all over a MotoGP bike for, was it a superbike? World Superbike.
It was MotoGP.
Was it? And yeah, for me, it wouldn't bother me if I saw Zippo lighters on a car
The advertising.
Other lighters are available.
Cigarette
but-
advertising doesn't bother me. Like, if you are of the mind that just merely seeing a brand name will make you go and do something that you know is going to give you a horrible disease, then that's fucking Darwinism at its finest.
When you put it in those terms, yeah,
Marlboro still sponsor Ferrari
just quietly.
quietly, and their logo's not quite there. If you were to look at the Ferrari from the top, you might see the logo, but not.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like old tobacco advertisement, where you got people going, "Oh, the refreshing taste of Camel," like
Doctors prefer John Player Special.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
No, it was Doctors Prefer Camel.
Right.
That was a genuine advert.
But in a world where, I mean, fucking, like cigarettes can only be bought from like a fucking like a blacked out screen and stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
How do you advertise something that you're not allowed to see the logo of?
I'm very much people should be able to as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. People should be allowed to do what the fuck they want to do.
Rothmans, Williams, Renault,
Yeah.
Marlboro, Ferrari. As they were for a
JPS
while.
Lotus is the
JPS Lotus,
classic.
yeah.
Benson Hedges Jordan,
Yeah,
massive Damon Hill fan. It's not. I didn't smoke Benson Hedges.
no, or Rothmans.
No.
No, we go near them.
Yeah, I'm looking at a Benetton with a
Mild 7.
Mild 7, which wasn't even available outside Japan.
No.
Question here from James Holman, actual driver. And
Actual race driver,
actual
James
race
Holman.
driver James Holman with the 3 leg sport wheels logo on his race car.
Thank you very much.
And some of our names.
I think testing regulations should be eased up, not necessarily in the number of days, but in terms of locations. It'll allow teams to test privately or on an odd day at random times during the season, which could shake performance levels up. And there would be a cost saving too. Ferrari at Fiorano, British-based teams at Silverstone. I think it would make things more interesting. Yes, it would. I think in-season testing needs to be a thing.
We'd have Toro Rosso at Imola, probably the closest circuit to Faenza. Yeah.
Sauber
Where would they go? They're in Switzerland. No racetracks in Switzerland anymore.
probably have to go to Red Bull Ring.
Maybe.
Well,
Or
Red Bull, you'd be using that.
Well, it's in
being an Austrian team and all.
well,
yeah,
Austrian team that are based in
Oxfordshire.
yeah,
Berkshire.
I wonder if it would make it cheaper if you could go wherever you wanted to go, but you had to have a
The south.
representative there to oversee you.
yeah.
So it would be Silverstone.
Yeah, in theory, that it kind of works, but then you're bringing back in-season testing, and in-season testing is what when they banned in-season testing, it did bunch the field together a bit more. I mean, it doesn't. It's easy to forget now, but
Yeah, but it's a cost thing why they did it. It wasn't a competitive thing.
yeah.
I'd love to know how much if you break down.
Well, it depends if you're in the AA or not, because then you get a cheaper tow, if you remember.
For the benefit of the listeners, Lee is looking at Paul with such an amount of disdain.
Of course, you can use your own membership, whatever car you're in.
Yes.
Do you know what? I've never dismembered somebody, but it was almost like I was there then.
So he's talking about dismembership.
I could taste the iron, but I'd love to know what the difference is. Like, considering they probably run like simulators and stuff like that nearly 24/7, I wonder what the difference in cost is between doing that and running 2 or 3 Formula 1 tests a year.
Yeah, I think the FIA at the very least should be revisiting this on a regular basis and saying, are we improving the show and are we keeping costs down by keeping the in-season testing banned?
I mean, obviously, you can't see it going back to how it used to be, where there was a test between every race, practically.
Well, it was like the old stat for New York, when crime was really bad, that every 5 seconds somebody was shot. Back in the night, it was like every 5 seconds a Ferrari pulled out of a pit lane to do a lap round a track.
Yeah.
I remember they actually had a party in Harlem in the 90s because it was the first day in X amount of years that no murders were reported.
That's not to say they didn't happen.
No, not to say they didn't happen, but it was like there went one whole 24-hour period, one calendar day where no murders were reported.
Yeah, no, Chicago holds that honour.
I always thought Detroit was the murder capital of the world.
No, because everyone surrenders because you put your hands up for Detroit.
And you dare to have a go at me about the AA one.
No, that was good.
Oh, bloody hell.
I love this city.
Yes, let's laugh about people not being shot. Yeah, whatever. I'm done now. That's it. Thank you. We've been 3 legs, 4 wheels. I'm out.
I think bringing back a limited amount of in-season testing would benefit the developing teams, and maybe we wouldn't have seen Honda be so absolutely dire because they'd have actually got a representation of how bad the engine was and what work they needed to do.
Well, apparently they were constantly running engines on dynamos.
Dinosaurs know fucking nothing about building a Formula 1 engine.
Exactly. No one's talking about dynamos. Dinos. Sorry, so that you could.
How they kept the lights on.
Yeah. To measure their performance and then they build another one. But Mr. Palmer, Andy Palmer, I believe his name is, the CEO of Aston Martin, wants to make sure that he sees that as a form of in-season testing, and he thinks that should be stopped, or at least limited and regulated somehow as to how often engines are put on dynos to measure their performance rather than being in a car and on a circuit, because he thinks that could put teams with a lesser budget at a huge disadvantage.
So here's the thing, right? I know this probably isn't fucking ideal for us. Is Formula 1 fucked? Is Formula 1 actually in the position where it can't be fixed? Because we want close racing.
But does it need fixing?
No, yeah. But we want close racing, but we want really fast cars. But we don't want the cars to cost much money. And we don't want them to have aero because we want them to be able to race each other. But we can't have them being really, really fast without the aero. And to develop the aero, they have to be really, really expensive.
Make them safe as well.
and make them safe.
Aero's in the wrong place. Aero needs to be on the floor. Engines, simple, fast.
No, but if you could
That
get-
cuts the cost. That makes them fast.
No, but
Close racing, done.
Formula One, to be Formula One, has to be the fastest single-seater racing cars on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was enough benefit from using the underneath of the car as opposed to the top of the car, they'd have started by using the underneath of the car.
But they've, been
That's what
stopped, but they've been stopped from using the underneath because the cornering speeds were too fast.
Yeah.
And if there was a bump in the road,
Yeah,
But
when they let go, they really let go.
But there is also
Like Senna's accident in
Yeah.
'94.
But there's also a problem with using the underneath of the car because, like, I might be wrong with this, but the last time we were using the underneath of the car was the double diffuser.
Yeah, which worked brilliantly, but they banned it
Worked
because
brilliantly, but no cars could follow each other again.
no, they could follow each other with double diffusers. It was the fact that they were loading up the front wings so much.
What? No, yeah, but if you got behind one of those cars, you lost
Because
all
of the
your front
surface aero, that's the problem. It's
because
the
of the
surface
big
aero.
front wings that came in
So,
the same season
ban
as the
front
double
wings,
diffusers.
ban rear wings,
grip. Yeah.
No, don't ban wings. Just make them simple and standard.
ban wings. See what happens.
Yeah. No, I think Formula One's in a position where unless the whole thing is rewritten and like almost going down your route of the X1 or whatever, Newey's design with the closed-in wheels and just like closed-in cockpits and stuff, and going fucking mental at changing the cars up. As it stands, it's an unsolvable problem.
I think you've missed some things as well, because you've got privateer teams who want rules that go one way.
Yeah.
You've got car manufacturers who want rules that go another way.
Yeah. And really,
We want really close racing, but we don't want artificially close racing. We don't want DRS.
yeah.
We want it all to be natural.
You want touring cars, Dan?
But they're not fast enough. And
No.
they're boring.
I want 1990s touring cars.
You want John Cleland?
I want John Cleland.
But yeah, is Formula One fucked? Are we just gonna go in this cycle now?
As it is now, it needs some adjustment.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's fucked.
I don't think it's fucked. I don't think it's ever going to please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be people saying, well, the engine should be louder, or the engine should be more efficient, or it needs more aero, or it needs less aero.
Do you think the teams get too much of a say?
No.
Do you not think that the best way to run? Let's face it, right? Formula One is fucking prestigious. So to be in Formula One is an honour. To win Formula One is crazy. So should Formula One not leverage that which it's got and turn around and say, look, these are the rules. These are what we want to do. There's no lobbying. There's no meetings about this with the teams, because if you start having meetings about rules with the teams, that's when you instantly get conflict. Should it not be a case of that's the piece of paper? Oh, you don't like that, Mr. Ferrari? Oh well, Formula E's just down the road, and let's see what your T-shirt sales goes like when you've only got a Formula E T-shirt.
That might kill Formula One.
Do you
I
think?
think if you want to do that, then what you need to do is start with some kind of core of what Formula One is.
Yeah.
Which is what Ross Brawn is working on
Yeah.
now. Ross Brawn, as the technical sporting director for Formula One, is working on a core value of Formula One that it can stick to.
Should it be the
Yeah.
fastest cars? Should it be the most technologically advanced cars?
Should it be a
Should it
prototype formula?
Should it be the closest racing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should it just be the fact that, release all regulations and just let the engineers make the fastest car they possibly can?
Here's 100 kilos of fuel. Let's see who gets to the finish first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that would be ideal, but that turns it then into an arms race, which is going to cost more money than you can put
And
into it.
I've said this so many times on the podcast before. My solution of fixing Formula One would be to not have anything secretive on the cars. All blueprints are available for all teams to look at all times, from the first test to the end of the season. That way, well, hang on a second, they've done that with their car. That's really clever. Rather than waiting 2 years to find out what somebody's done with their car. Well, hang on a second, they've done that with their car. That's really clever. Cool. What if we try that, but we do it just slightly differently because our car doesn't sit like that. Our car sits a bit different. How about if we put like a third part onto it rather than the two? Oh well, is that within the rules? Well, yeah, it's within the rules, but they've only done the two. There must be a reason they've only done two. Well, let's try ours with two and with three and see what happens.
But you can't do that without the testing.
No, I know. Yeah, you
That's the thing. You can
test it without the money.
You can model it on a computer all you want, but until you actually get hands-on with a car on a track.
But release the. I'm going to ask Sean about this as well. If we do manage to get virtual statman Sean Kelly on next week, then I want to ask him that question. Does he think that it should be undisclosed everything, all secrets out? And so the fans can even, if they really wanted to, the techie fans could even look and be like, "Ooh, look at that! Isn't that interesting?" And we'll probably go, "No, not really."
Yeah, Three Legs Four Wheels Techcast.
There are podcasts out there that will satisfy that need. We're not that one.
No, no, we're not. Just one other message that we got this week from Tom Jones. Stop laughing at my name. We don't do it all that often, but it's not unusual.
Oh,
We did that last
week.
We do that one every time.
No, and also somebody else responded with that.
Why?
I can help.
I don't think anybody can help.
If you want to get in touch with us, more fool you can drop us an email, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Well, because I don't know Tom Jones songs. What a shame, eh?
Yeah. No, the more fool you wasn't a Tom Jones
was it
reference.
not?
No, it was just, if you want to get in touch with us, you need help. No, that one was aimed at you. If you want to get in touch with us, if you want to get in touch with us, email us at 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. You can tweet us at 3legs4wheels, or
I'm at a total shunt.
At Flood21.
At Danbert.
and at Pablo100. We're on Facebook as well. Just go to facebook.com/3legs4wheels. We're about on Instagram as well, and I think anywhere else? I can never remember.
Probably. Can't remember.
There's a YouTube channel.
Patreon.
Too. And there's an extra show as well on Patreon. You go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels. A little bit of extra content on there. It's non-Formula One conversations.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at conversations.
I want to apologise because there was supposed to be another podcast up of my other podcast, Must See Audio, last week, but due to snow,
That's
it got
not happened.
fucked off. So we'll be recording Must See Audio on Saturday, so it should be up on Sunday. So if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out.
Right.
Now, if you're still with the podcast and you're not one of these people who switches off every time you put the contact details out,
Thank you.
in. Yeah, thank you for number one. And number two, you are in for a treat.
Because we haven't done Formula Lee yet.
No, we haven't.
And we can now announce the big prize for the Winter Series.
Have we decided how we're going to distribute this prize?
They're going to have to come to us if they're getting in the hot tub at Paul's. They've got to come here. We can't take the hot tub to them.
That is true. Tell you what, we'll have to do something different in that case. Something we can post out.
Does it still involve helmet?
How about a 2016 Nico Rosberg replica helmet from
A helmet.
from CM Helmets?
Yeah, CM Helmets have delivered on their promise. They came good with a Nico, as you just said, Paul, 2016 Nico Rosberg championship winning replica helmet,
Which is worth on their website $699.
exactly, and you can win it just by being good at a game.
Yes. The way that we are going to do this is all the races over the Winter Series, everyone that gets in the points, every time you get in the points, you get one entry into the prize draw.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the season, we'll get all the point scorers, and we will pick one of them. The more times you get into the points, the more entries you get.
So it's in your best interest to get into the points.
To enter as many races as possible.
And you get one entry for 1 point and 25 entries for 25 points?
No.
Just one entry?
You get one entry
per points finish.
Per points finish.
So you can finish first and then finish like 8th, and that's still 2 entries.
Yes. Obviously, we don't qualify.
No.
But there have been some points for the first race of the Winter Series.
I have seen
I
the
love
helmet.
the fact that we don't qualify, but we are taking points off
Yeah,
people.
of course we are.
Well, that's the aim of the game. Be better than us. And bearing in mind that some of us are usually crap.
It's not that difficult.
Some of us are always crap.
But no, I have seen the helmet in the flesh.
You have worn the helmet.
Well, yes, I tried to. It's quite tight fit on my massive head. It's not. I will say now, it's mainly for display purposes. I would say so.
What if you want to display it on your head?
Then I hope you've got a smaller head than I've got.
I would probably say it is ornamental only, and it's probably not road safe.
No, and the quality of it is outstanding. It really is. Look, just to look at, you'd think Nico Rosberg had handed you one of his own personal collection of helmets. It's great. It really is. And I've got to say thanks very much to CM Helmets.
Yeah, we will put we'll put a link up on the website to their page if you want to see the rest of their range.
Smell.
Yeah.
We should.
No, we shouldn't make it smell.
We should find like a fragrance of what we think Nico smells like.
New car smell.
No, he'd be like a. I'm thinking almost a Calvin Klein or Fahrenheit. Would he smell of Fahrenheit?
Well, no,
I think he might smell of Fahrenheit.
He wouldn't, would he? It'd be Hugo Boss.
Yeah, it would be Hugo
They own
Boss.
him now.
Yeah.
Would it now? Oh, do they?
Yes. He's just about to sign up as global ambassador again.
He has signed up as global.
He has signed up as global ambassador.
All the more reason it should smell of Fahrenheit then.
So,
does anyone still wear Fahrenheit? I thought that was what blokes in the 80s were when they didn't want Kuros.
anyway, Formula Lee, we've got points to dish out.
There are points to dish out.
You know what points mean?
Prize draw
entries.
Just want to say, as well as the CM Helmet sponsorship, the Ultraflix prizes are still carrying on through the winter series.
So thanks for that, David.
Thank you very much, David. £10 in Amazon vouchers for the winner, £5 per second, £2 per third, all local currency equivalent, or in the case of Ollie Vesely, whatever that is in Norwegian.
So if you win a race, you can buy yourself some Fahrenheit to make your helmet smell of Nico.
Ooh.
Moving swiftly on.
Swiftly.
Lee was a git for the last race, and he decided to put us in the 96 Williams in Australia in the wet.
It was good fun.
It was fun, but to quote Jeff Sharp, the back of the car doesn't feel attached to the front. To quote everybody else, I'm going to kill you.
Try it.
Not going to go through the top 20 finishers, but in this room, Lee, you finished 16th overall.
I'll take
with a 148.485.
Considering I was crippled.
Kubitzed.
Got to boo-boo.
It bled for 2 hours. I thought I was going to have to go and get a stitch. Be careful cutting garlic, people. She is a fickle mistress.
Garlic crushes, that's what you want.
It could have been worse. You could have been cutting chilies when you did it.
Garlic hurts, like.
Not as much as chilies.
No, this is true.
Trust me, I've got experience in both. Second out of the four of us was me, and I got points. I have got points in Formula Lee for the first time ever.
There you go.
But you were slower than me, yeah?
I was slower than you. I finished 18th. I was only 2 places behind you. I was only about 4/10 down. Chris, you got a point.
Yes.
You were in 20th.
But slower than me.
Well, yeah, I'm still getting used to this 2017 game.
Look,
I also took part.
Dan also took part, and I just want to say thanks to everyone that's taken part in this, because it's been the most
But
popular.
you were slower than me.
It's been the most popular Formula Lee race we've had, and we actually had 46 entries.
Wow, that's amazing.
One big spreadsheet I've got here.
If that was a grid set up in Melbourne, then it probably started like
Adelaide.
Yeah, probably would do. Yeah, probably have to start the street race at Adelaide at the end of the season before in order to start it at the right time in the next season.
Yeah, Dan, I'm afraid to say, well, you got...
Was I better than 46th?
Yes.
Woo!
That is the ultimate answer to life, the universe, and everything, because you were 42nd.
Wow, there you go, Dan. Number 42.
So the ultimate question is, where did Dan finish in this week's Formula Lee? 42. Top 3. In third place, Pete Bull, 147.155.
Well done, Pete.
Second place, Ollie Vestley, 146.937.
146.93. That's mental.
And first place, Simon Joy, 146.577.
Simon Joy, well done, sir.
I will put the full times and finishing positions up on the website. Probably already be up there.
How the mighty have fallen, Jeff. How the mighty have fallen.
Fourth. He came fourth. And big shout out to the returning Ed Forsyth, who up until one point was 21st and just outside the points, and then somebody got a faster time than him and knocked him down to 22nd. Me.
Double 11th.
Double 11th. Double Edster band. So, we are going to need a challenge for the next
2 weeks.
2.5 weeks, because 2 weeks
Christmas.
today it's Christmas Day.
2 weeks today.
Yes.
Motherfucker, someone better start building me some presents.
Yeah. Anyone done any shopping yet that isn't for themselves?
No.
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm okay, I think. As long as it all gets here.
Yeah, there's always one. So, I think we'll have to rejig it slightly, and the cut-off date will be the 27th.
Why not?
So it's a 16-day challenge,
Yeah.
and the car will be...
That means you got Boxing Day to play this.
That is true.
Which McLaren's in there?
You got the MP4-4, the
Which
MP4-6.
Hakkinen is in there, isn't it?
Hakkonen's 98, MP4, whatever it is, 13, 14,
Not sure. That one.
that one.
Right, hang on a second.
Hakkonen's 98 McLaren. It is called the 1998 McLaren, whatever it is, MP4 something.
The MP413 98 McLaren.
Yeah.
And which circuit?
Canada. It was so much fun, wasn't it? And someone demanded its try, didn't they? Someone demanded.
No, somebody begged, otherwise you don't get...
Somebody demanded.
Otherwise you don't get a biscuit allowance for the next podcast.
That sounds like a demand.
Sounds
to
like
me.
a threat.
Yeah. I'm not easily threatened. Not easily demanded it.
Oh, not again.
So yeah, Canada wet. Hakkinen McLaren. Merry fucking Christmas.
It does rain a lot during the winter, to be fair.
But sodding humbug.
Yeah.
So
If anyone
Canada...
wants to shout me with gifts, then I'll change. You know, I'm easily bought.
If anybody wants to shower him with gifts, he is partial to a punch in the face. So that is the 98 McLaren in the wet in Canada, and you have until the 27th, 7 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock Eastern time in the US. Other times are available.
Just don't be late.
Yep, best of luck. Right, that's about it for this week.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it means we can all go to bed.
Yeah, we're back next week.
We'll be back next week with more wild speculation, and hopefully something's happened. Our last show before Christmas.
I need to
Hopefully
move
some
the air
news.
freshener. The air freshener keeps squirting Dan in the side of the face.
And yeah, we'll see you next week.
We will
Bye,
indeed.
bye.
Bye.